Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to the channel. My name is Vanessa, and if this is your first time seeing me, I hope you don't make it your last. As you can tell from the title of today's video, we're talking about belly fat and how you can get rid of belly fat. I used to have belly fat, and while I was trying to get rid of the belly fat, I noticed that a lot of the advice out there is actually confusing, and most of them not true, and will eventually make you gain weight. However, fast forward to today, I can clearly say that I've lost my belly fat, and so in this video I'm breaking down all the things that I did to get rid of my belly fat in the hopes that if you copy these or if you copy this formula, it would actually help you to get rid of your belly fat as well. Now, the thing about belly fat, the thing that I found most frustrating was, apart from the fact that it's literally shortening your lifespan, my clothes didn't fit me the way that I liked, and frankly it didn't align with the woman that I wanted to be or the higher version of me that I knew that I could be. And so if this is a problem that you're facing, you're not alone. In fact, this is a challenge that is faced by many women between 25 to 35 years and even post-menopause. And so I need you to be kind to yourself, and let's walk through this video and I'll share with you all the steps that I use to get rid of my belly fat. Remedy number one, I'm going to start off with one of the remedies that is the most underrated. When I was researching the internet on how to get rid of my belly fat, there were very little sources online that actually talked about the importance of sleep when you're trying to lose weight and when you're trying to get rid of your belly fat. The first hack that I have is for you to optimize your sleeping environment. I think that this particular hack is so underrated. When people hear about sleep, they usually think that it's just for vibes, and really I don't blame anyone because the world has gotten increasingly capitalistic. Most people think that just like waking up as far as they're sleeping or they're trying to sleep 5-6 hours of the night, that's enough. What actually determines the quality of your sleep is how well or how deep and how long you're in the REM sleep. So a lot of people are tossing and turning during the night and they're not actually getting the sleep that the body requires. So what I want you to do is to optimize your sleep environment. If you're in Nigeria right now, as I'm making this video, the weather has been the greatest weather that we've had in a really long time, and you will notice that you're even able to sleep better and sleep for longer in this weather, and that's because your room or the environment is actually cool enough to the point where it allows your body to relax and fall into a deep sleep. So what you can do is to invest in a fan or invest in an air conditioner. Another reason why it is important for you to sleep is, especially if you have some belly fat problems that you're dealing with and you're trying to get rid of it, a clear signal is that your body naturally stores fat around the midsection when you're stressed or when your cortisol levels are increased. So it's important for you to actually sleep. Now, the reason why I'm hammering on sleep and the importance of sleep is the fact that sleep naturally helps you to decrease your cortisol levels. Sleep helps you to relax and get rid of stress. Sleep also helps sharpen your cognitive abilities. The next thing that I want you to do is to block out lights while you're trying to sleep or when you're trying to sleep. The reason is because your body has an internal clock. Your body is run by an internal clock, which is also referred to as the circadian rhythm. Now, what happens is that when your eyes are exposed to light while you're trying to sleep, first off, it prevents you from falling into REM sleep, even if you think that you're sleeping behind blackout curtains. But headlights from cars or even street lights can be reflecting in the mirror and also reflecting into your room. So one surefire way to get rid of this is to get a sleeping mask. It doesn't cost so much. I would usually advise that you get both a sleeping mask and then blackout curtains. Then you can sleep as deeply as possible. Just try this out. If you have ever slept in a room that has blackout curtains, you've noticed how different your sleep actually feels. Now, the next thing that I want you to do is invest in a good mattress. I used to skimp out on a good mattress until I started experiencing pain in my body. Like, I would just wake up and I would have waist pain, and I knew that it was time for me to make a change. So invest in a good quality mattress. I know that mattress can be really expensive. One mindset to have is that once you've made the purchase, you're not going to make the purchase in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years, especially if you're buying it from a quality store or from a quality place. You know for sure that you're getting the value of your money and you're also saving yourself body pain. And in the context of this video, you're actually getting a better night's sleep along with good beddings, okay? Because you don't want beddings that are itching you. You don't want to wake up and then it feels like your whole body is on fire because what you're sleeping on wasn't comfortable. You need to get good beddings that are also breathable. That way air is basically able to circulate all around you and in your room when you're sleeping. So this is how you can optimize your sleep environment. Invest in good mattress, invest in good pillowcases and good beddings. Make it optimal enough for you to fall asleep and actually stay asleep. But the second remedy I have to get rid of your belly fat is for you to fix your diet. I know you saw this one coming, and yes, and that's because diet is like 80 to 90% of your effort. If you're able to dial in your diet, half of the work is done for you. However, the problem with diet is the fact that when people hear dieting, what happens is they go into an overdrive. As a matter of fact, I used to have a colleague who wanted to lose weight, and then she began by making one of the greatest mistakes that you can ever make when you're trying to go on a diet, which is doing an aggressive cut, or which is trying basically to starve yourself. For most people, why this approach is usually going to fail is the fact that at the beginning, it gives you something like false progress, because if you decide you're going to eat less than 1,000 calories every day, the scale is actually going to drop. It gives you a sense that you're making progress. In fact, you might begin to lose weight. However, the thing with belly fat is the fact that it usually occurs because, again, like I said before, your body stores fat around the midsection when it perceives that you're stressed. So in that situation, you're putting yourself under intense stress because it has to double back aggressively to make sure that your body adapts to the food that you're giving it. So it's not a sustainable way to approach weight loss. So when it comes to diets, a few do's and don'ts: get rid of refined carbs, processed food, trans fats. If it's difficult for you to stop, give yourself a timeline. So just say that 1 month straight you're going to try and eat clean. This is an experiment that you're conducting. Most of the time when people try this, the difference is always night and day. I'm sure that you're actually going to feel healthier, and that would incentivize you to avoid things like pastries, things like egg roll, meat pie, white bread, anything that is processed that's not in the whole form. One of the reasons why I specifically say to avoid processed food, things like pastries for instance, is the fact that those things usually contain trans fat. And if you don't know trans fats are basically things like hydrogenated oils that are put in pastries or put in baked goods that you see on the shelf, just to ensure that it extends the shelf life. Those things are bad, not just for your health, but also for your belly fat in general, because they spike insulin, and when your body is insulin resistant, that's when your body begins to hold on to weight. Now that we talked about things that I want you to avoid, the next thing I'm going to talk about is what you should actually, like the do's. Obviously, if you're cutting off processed food, it means that what you should be focusing on is eating whole foods. So when I say whole foods, these are foods that have not been processed or foods that have undergone minimal processing. One problem that I know from experience is people usually don't have time. Another problem that people face is temptation. Depending on your environment, and especially if you have kids around you, or if you have people who are not really taking care of their diet so much, it can be really difficult for you to stick to your diet goals. If you're someone who has kids, for instance, I know that kids usually like things like fizzy drinks, anything containing sugar. One thing you can do is to take all those kids snacks, lock them or put them in a separate cupboard, and then give someone else the key. I used to work a 9 to 5, and I know that the struggle is real when you're in the office. Like, other people are ordering buckets of chicken, ordering pizza and eating, especially when it's a Friday. It gets really hard to stick to your diet goals on those days. Or in one thing that can help you stay consistent to your goal: have a lunch bag and pack food that you're going to eat from your house before you go to work. Remember to put in some snacks into the bag. It can be things like apples, any fruits that is healthy, so that whenever you feel like snacking, you can quickly reach for that. I think that it's easier to say no to things like fried chicken or whatever when your tummy is full, and it becomes difficult to refuse those things when you're hungry. So one way is to stuff yourself up with healthy alternatives. Speaking of stuffing yourself up, what I want you to do is to aim to increase your protein intake. When you're full on your recommended daily intake of protein and veggies and fiber, most times you would find that you're actually not hungry, like you don't even have space in your tummy to eat all of those other junk food. So prioritize on eating your protein. One rule that I would advise that you follow is to ensure that your plate is made up of 80% of protein. You need to prioritize good sources of protein. So things like chicken, things like beef, fish, eggs, those are better sources of protein than plant protein. Once you have focused on filling your plate with 80% of protein, then you can fill up your plate with other macros such as your carbs if you want, and then your fats. Now, a good rule of thumb is for you to focus on getting 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per body weight. So if you're someone who weighs 90 kg, then every day you should be aiming to eat around 162 to 261 grams of protein. One large egg is going to give you about 6 grams of protein, and then 5 large eggs is going to give you 30 grams of protein. 100 grams of chicken breast is going to give you 30 grams of protein. Knowing all these things and knowing all these, calculations and estimations will just help you ensure that you're closer to your target. Now, the third remedy that I have is for you to incorporate some sort of physical activity. The truth is that belly fat is just like any other fat on your body, and it's usually accumulated because one is in a caloric surplus. So one surefire way to target it is for you to be in a caloric deficit. Now, there are two ways to achieve calorie deficit. The first one is to reduce the amount of food that you consume. That way your body has to tap into the fat stores in your body and give you energy to carry out your activities during the day. The second way to be in a calorie deficit is for you to increase the amount of calories that you expend every day, which people would usually do by running or by doing some sort of cardio or going to the gym. Now, I would usually advise, it's easier and it's also faster to see progress if you implement going on a calorie deficit by reducing the amount of food you eat, which we've talked about. And now we're talking about increasing your caloric expenditure. In addition to strength training, I would advise that you incorporate some sort of cardio into your routine. It doesn't have to be every day, and it doesn't have to be very intense cardio. You don't need to be running every day. You can decide to take walks or take mini walks. Just ensure that you have, like, every day you're moving. I will always remain partial to strength training. I think everybody should be strength training, especially if you're a woman. It's important that you have some sort of muscle on your body. If you decide to go the route of strength training, dedicate 2 to 3 days a week and say that these are the days that I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work. Alongside your regular training schedule or your regular training split, you can then incorporate some ab exercises like knee raises, hanging leg raises, sit-ups, weighted crunches. If you're someone who you don't have access to a gym, maybe the place you live or the country you live, you don't have access to a gym subscription, that's fine. You can achieve good results even from home. Get a pair of dumbbells, just something that is not too light but also not too heavy for you. Fashion out a place in the corner of your house where you designate to be your workout session. So if you want to shop for a dumbbell and every other thing that I've mentioned in this video, you can use my code in the description box and use that when you're making a purchase. I might earn a small commission from it, but rest assured it doesn't affect the price of whatever you're purchasing. If you're a beginner to training, if you're a beginner to strength training, I have a free guide that I've created for you. I'll also leave the link in the description box. It basically contains a workout split for beginners, and it also gives you advice and guide on how to make the best of your strength training sessions. So I really hope that this video was helpful to you. Don't forget to drop a like, comment, share this video to your friends or to anyone who might be in need of the tips in this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.